This is Seed Ship Overhaul, broadcast to all channels. Mayday, mayday, all is critical. All crew report to escape pods. May God...
The Michael Bay cutscene. The best cutscene on the planet. It's pretty great. Hello world, my name is Tim Roswick, and we're going to go over my Ludum Dare entry. I say my, but I meant our Ludum Dare entry. I worked with my friend Mike, Kindred Dev. You might know him around the planet. He's got a Twitch stream and a YouTube channel. Working on a game called Swords and Magic and stuff. Mike, how you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
I'm fantastic. We're going to talk a little bit about our dev process over the grueling, I don't even know how many hours are in that. What, 72? 3 days?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, 72 hours.
It's 72 hours, but it's 4 days because Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is when we did it. But so
only half a day on Friday and half a day on Monday.
Yeah, but if you're a night owl, you can, kind of get along with it. It kind of works good. Sure. They changed the time, man, for Ludum Dare.
Yeah,
it used to start later.
Mm-hmm. It was always like 5 p.m. for me, and it was like 3 now, or noon or something. I don't remember. I think it was noon.
Yeah, I guess that works better globally.
Mm-hmm.
So we made a space. How would you even describe it? Physics clicker thing?
Yeah, I guess. I think like a. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to explain it. A space clicker thing.
So
space physics clicker thing.
My brain was dead, and I was literally just like drawing shit, and then I started with voiceover of some stupid stuff, and I literally couldn't come up with any ideas, so I just started prototyping, and I had this little dude spinning around, and you were in my stream, and I stole your image, and I just put it in the game because I literally had no idea what I was doing, and then you made me a little square.
Yeah, well, that was going on.
And that's how we teamed up.
Well, that was going on. I was in my Discord telling people I was not participating in Ludum Dare. And then I showed up in your stream, and you were like, I need a cube face. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I showed you what I was actually working on and why I couldn't make a cube face for you. And then you put it in the game, and then I had no choice. I had to help.
Then, yeah, you end up, I put your roadmap in my game, or you make me a cube face, in which case it ended up in the game, and then I was just messing around with stuff, and then you said, hey, why don't you make a game? And then I just started prototyping on your idea.
So I guess it is my fault.
It's you were the originator. And then I went into it. I was like, all right, we got this. And then we started with the drag and drop stuff, and we had that operating literally within like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was really surprised how fast that came together, actually. Because when I came up with the idea, I was like, there's no way. This will take us like a week to do. There's no way this is going to happen. And then like 20 minutes later, I was like, oh, I guess I'm doing art because this is happening.
And then so we settled on the asteroids, right? That was like the concept. And I love how we did it this time though, dude, because I overscope almost every time.
Well, same.
And this time we started like, we intentionally tried to get the scope so low that it was just like, of course we can get that done, because I didn't want to spend a whole bunch of time. And actually I didn't. I probably spent maybe 15 or 20 hours over the weekend, which that's a lot of time, but compared to how hard I usually go, 10 or 12 hours a day on jams, this was actually a surprisingly chill jam for me.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same. This is probably the most casual, like least stressful jam I've ever had, which was a nice change from the last one we did.
Yes. I felt so stressed. But we built like 3 games that time. Like we had like 3 different games in that period. Yeah. And then we ended up with something I don't think either one of us were happy with. Yeah, and the whole rating fiasco. I worked with Mike as an artist, and I forgot to put an art category in the jam because I ran the jam, and that was great.
Yeah, that's the only reason I agreed to do it this time, though, because I knew you had no control over that.
To make up for that. Yeah. To get it back. So then this is when I start pulling some of your art in. We're finally getting the first little bit of art. Yeah, and we're finally getting the game going. I was really surprised, like we had everything going that quick. And then too, one of the things I loved about doing this too is when we start super small. Like you start so small it sounds ridiculous. You get all this time for polish and features.
It's true.
It's great. It's like, because we added a bunch of stuff too. We added the springboards literally in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Horns, guns, rubber duckies, gnomes.
You know what's scary, Tim, is as an artist watching the programmer like put the game together prototype art, because like as an artist I don't really get the concept of the game until the art's in, and watching you put prototype art in the whole time I was like, oh, this game is going to be so terrible, so bad. But then when the art goes in, it's like, oh, never mind, this is an actual game.
Yeah, it's
it makes
great.
More sense now.
Sound does that too, man. Like it's like, okay, this I don't really like this, and then you put a big beefy boom on something and it's like, yes. Yep. This is amazing.
Yeah, or a Michael Bay cutscene that does it.
Yeah, a Michael Bay cutscene. It's pretty great. What did you have against that cutscene? I gotta know. Like, what was your thoughts? Because we didn't actually talk about it.
Well, from the start, my idea for the game was like basically Tinker Toys, right? That's why the art's so colorful. It's like, it's so like contrasting that cutscene that when I woke up and I had messages from you and I was like, oh damn, I gotta get on this. So I jumped in the stream and I just saw this cutscene. The second I started the stream, you had started the cutscene, and I was like, what is going on? This is not the game. What has he done? Yeah, it was just it's really intense. It's an intense cutscene.
Insanely, dude, I had to psych myself up. I had to like amp myself up and then scream.
Did you do that on stream?
Yes, I did.
Oh my God. I need to go back and watch that.
Yeah, I don't know why I felt like, I don't even know why I called it the SS Omaha. I don't even know.
I honestly thought you said alcohol.
Yeah, SS alcohol. That would have been a great name. You said. That's funny. I don't even know, but I was like, I thought it would be funnier if like everything was like super crazy serious, and then it had this bright and colorful art and all this stuff.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. It after playing a few times, it kind of grew on me. So I'm kind of glad we didn't change
it. The blaster sounds kind of did that for me, because when I first put them in, I was like, no, I hate these so much. Yeah. And then I didn't have time to put anything else in, and then they're kind of like, okay, well they kind of work, I guess.
Yep. You know what really changed the game is when we swapped it from the asteroids game where you like move from the top of the screen to the bottom when it loops, when the screen loops. When you decided to have the camera follow the spaceship instead, that really made the game. Yeah.
So originally we had it to where like literally it would be like you would just loop across the screen, but I made it to where you can move anywhere, and it's kind of like an open world thing. Yeah. That completely changed it a lot. You know, one of the things that I wish we would have gotten to, because you're kind of limited now when you drag and drop the stuff. You can position the objects by choosing when to pick them up and then using that angle as the rotation for the actual object. But what I noticed was like, it's really hard to build anything unique or interesting that way. It kind of just ends up always looking like a trash pile. You know, which I guess is part of like the whole Ragtag rescue, like build a ship out of your ship's parts and stuff. But like, I don't know, I feel like, because I've seen some other games like that where you build your own ship and stuff, and like I wonder if there was a way to do that where I don't know, you could have given more freedom of control, or like maybe some kind of grid system or some kind of rotation system, or both.
Yeah, I was thinking about maybe putting like snapping points on every part, so you could only snap between those parts. So you could only have like maybe 4 snapping points on the main ship or something. But I think, see, my idea from the beginning was like almost like a hamster habitat, you know, like with all like the pipes and stuff going everywhere, and like different like wheels and stuff for them to play on. That was kind of like, oh, this will be cool. You can like build this whole like space station looking like spaceship that's flying around, and you can just stick all kinds of random stuff on it. So I'm glad that we got it so you could actually branch it out, but it does get pretty messy pretty fast.
There's our temporary logo, both our faces merged. That's pretty great. Yeah, like so. you weren't around, so I was just like, I'll take the liberty of putting the placeholder logo. Yeah. The way I ended up playing is I would just literally grab everything and just throw it on there, and I don't know if that's how most people play it, because I don't really feel like there's a strategy to the game. Well, there definitely wasn't in the beginning when you just killed asteroids. The OP strategy was to not use any rockets at all. Just strap on guns and then literally just spin and shoot your guns.
Yeah. So the way I like to play it is I really don't care about the points or even the spacemen now that are in the game, or the asteroids. I just play to go like collect parts and build like an interesting ship, like make it as crazy as I possibly can. Really, like building different shapes and stuff. I think that's more fun. But I'm really glad that we switched to the spaceman thing at the end though, because that really did help.
Yeah, I think that was a good change. That kind of brought it all together too, and then that fit in with the cutscene, and we ended up with something halfway coherent. Which it was just kind of like a random assortment of ideas up until that point. And then with the cutscene and like the saving the spaceman, it kind of makes all sense what you're doing now. And even the alien tentacles that you threw in there, that ended up integrating really well.
Yeah, I wish we could have done more with like the story about that though. You know, because we have like these tentacles around the outside of the map, and then you have the cutscene with the tentacles coming out, but there's no context about what they are or why. Which is fine. I think it's cool that, you know, players can kind of just fill that in, but I don't think even you and I have any idea what that's actually supposed to be about.
Don't tell them that. We got to pretend like we have the lore and all that down. Okay, we're professional game developers.
Okay. So
we got to pretend we know what we're doing.
I'll just dial back the transparency. My bad.
No, it's all good. No, one of the things I love about game dev is you can just kind of make shit up as you go along. That's kind of how I literally love to do things. And it's so interesting to me. Some of my favorite games like Space Goats and all that stuff is literally just kind of like one giant improv session of like coming up with stuff. Yeah,
I think that's the best way to do it.
Not everybody likes that though. Some people literally, like, I can see it in chat when I'm streaming that like I'm triggering them by like not planning stuff out and not having documents and all kinds of stuff.
I mean, it's a good idea, right? Like, yeah, that's kind of the dream, is to be able to just plan your whole game out and then just do it exactly to plan. But it never works that way, so it's almost fun just to embrace that and just go with it, you know? Like in my game,
look at what we started with and what we ended up with.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even close.
Yeah, I was just gonna say in my game, it's all about that. Like I just kind of start with something simple and then add on more features or whatever I think is cool, especially with the story and quests and stuff. I just keep adding random stuff in. So that's my favorite way to do it. So I'm glad we went about that, or win it that way, or win about it that way with this game.
Right. I think if you have to be smart about it, right? Because you can get lost in that feature creep.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's never ending amount of stuff to add. But at the same time, if you got people around you that will call you out and like give you the clarity and say, hey, you're kind of overscoping, or you have, you know, it's really hard to do solo. It's harder to do solo than I think anything else, because that's the thing you miss when you do solo game dev is the clarity.
That's true.
But like it's cool because when you do it right and you're like actually adding stuff in and you're getting feedback the whole way, it tells you what to focus on, right? Like it tells you what the important parts are. And like in Cyberpunk, the hacking game I'm working on, for some reason, I don't know why, but people like to break the chips. They like to go up to the chips and break the chips. And that was never intentional. That was something I randomly added in because people kept trying to move up to them and break them, and that's what we ended up with. And then like the core of the game ended up being kind of about moving around the chips in different ways and manipulate them and hacking them and doing different stuff. And I never would have thought to add that without like, you know, doing that whole iterative creative process.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal. I wish we could have had a little more of that in the jam. Like I wish we had, you were posting builds like the whole way, which was awesome, but I don't know if we had enough game to like find out what players really wanted to do to be able to add like move in that direction. But
I think an expanded version of this game, almost like a roguelike type of thing where you can find different parts and different pieces and you have different objectives to complete, I think would be really, really interesting. I'm sure there are games like that. Build your own ship kind of deals. But like for what we have, it's kind of like an arcade style small little experience, which actually I think is perfect for a game jam, you know?
Have you ever played, it's an old Flash game, it's called Fantastic Contraption?
No.
Missing out. It's basically like a physics game, and you can drag out like wheels. Some of them are powered, and they like spin. Others don't, you know. And the goal is just to move like this little physics shape, like a ball or a triangle or something, from one point of the map to the other. So you build this whole machine basically. And the whole time making this game, I kept thinking I wanted to add stuff like that, like moving arms and like wheels that would spin and like rotate stuff around. But I think that was way out of scope. But that would have been a really cool thing to add in for like a more expanded version of the game, I think.
Yeah, definitely like dynamic stuff like that could be kind of interesting. Another thing that I think I would add in it is actual enemies, because like enemies that shoot at you and stuff. Because one of the things that when we moved from the asteroid model to like the bigger open world stuff, it took the focus away from shooting asteroids to collecting people, right? We changed the main objective. And so that literally took the direct focus away from acquiring guns to acquiring thrusters and assembling them properly, right? Like it shifted the entire focus of the game. But I feel like in doing that, like we made the game about movement, not about shooting. And I feel like the shooting really didn't have a place at all after we made that change.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
You know, so like I feel like if there were enemies and stuff that were chasing you around, it might be interesting. Another thing that I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed this because I programmed it. The spawning of the stuff needs some work. At speed, it doesn't spawn like anything.
Yeah, it feels so random. Like you can go for like 5 minutes without seeing anything, and that's probably because you're flying around or shooting guns. Right. I noticed that if you were like shooting around in a circle, it would knock all the parts back away from you, so you never saw anything.
Another thing is like, so literally, so the way I did this is you're surrounded by spawner objects, and they're pinned to your position, so they're always right off screen, and you can't see them. And then every 1 second, it spawns a random one at one of those locations towards one of those locations. Yeah. So that works really well when you're sitting still, okay? Because then you just get all this shit like flying on screen and everything looks full, but you start moving at speed, and that system just doesn't work.
Yeah, because if you're moving away from the one that's spawning, it'll move toward it, but you're moving too fast. You never
see it most of the time.
It's funny how like I mean, that would have been a cool idea to add the trajectory or the velocity to it based on your ship, right? Because then it would have moved in at the right speed. But then that would have been really weird if like you stop and like those pieces are just like flying faster than you randomly behind you. So yeah,
it's funny. If you spam the key and you go as fast as you can, occasionally it'll spawn a meteor right in front of you and you'll slam into it and just explode.
That's funny.
Yeah, Nicole. It happened to Nicole, and she was like, "What the fuck is this?" she was very upset because it ruined her run. Here's me. This is me recording the cutscene, going all Michael Bay in the getting ready. I really had to psych myself up because the first couple times I did it, I was like, "That sounds so boring and so lame. I need to sound like I'm dying. I'm dedicated to this." Then we added klaxons in the back, and we had this deep, ominous tone, and then I start animating it.
Yeah, when the music came in, it kind of changed like the whole game, I think.
Oh yeah, totally. Because that's another thing too. Is like I was going for your tone at first because it's bright and colorful and kind of weird and quirky. And actually, I told our musician, which shout out to Panda, nickname Nathaniel, for the music. We really appreciate that. So I told him space funk as the type of music I want. I was like, give us some space funk, okay? And he was like, I don't know what that means. And I was like, okay, fine.
Does anyone know what that means? What even is that?
And so I've forced to find examples. I had to actually define what space funk meant. And I realized that was a lot harder than I thought it would be. So what I ended up with was kind of space ambience. Yeah. And I found a few examples of that, and then I sent it to him, and he recreated it fantastically. The tone was like spot on. But then when I put it in, I was like, oh, this feels so chill and peaceful, but it kind of doesn't match the funky, weird craziness of like the art.
Yeah.
And that's when the spaceman and the cutscene idea came up, because I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense now. Because we can, saving Spaceman kind of seems a little more on point with the tone of it. The music just changes everything, dude.
Yeah.
Like literally, if we would have put some circus or clown music behind it, it would have been like completely different game.
Yeah, but it probably still would have fit. That's the cool thing about like the tone of the game we made, is that we probably could have done any music behind it and it still would have felt like it fit. I don't know why. It's kind of odd.
Yeah. I think I like to do music first, to be honest. And we ended up with the music on this super late, because one of the things that I've noticed too is music doesn't tend to... I tend to want to redo sound effects after I get music in.
Yeah, that's true.
Because it changes, well, for a lot of reasons. One, there's the actual literal frequencies that can overlap, right, and make stuff sound money. But two, like that tone, and I don't know what other word to describe except for like tone, but like the feeling you get from the game, right? Like in a movie, if you see somebody picking a lock and you play that dark and ominous music, that's way different than picking the lock and playing like happy, fun music. Like the whole, like everything you get from that scene is different, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it's really, really important, and the sound effects add a lot to that.
Yeah, and that's probably why when I came in and saw your cutscene in the beginning, I was like, what is going on here? Because that's not the tone I had envisioned for the game, but luckily it fit in the end. So, you know,
that's another thing I like about game jams though, is because like with Cyberpunk or any other of my personal projects, I would judge myself so hard on that kind of stuff. So hard, like go back and forth. Does it script right? Does that sound right? But game jam is like, no, we don't got time. I got to do one hit wonder. Let's make it happen. And I just sit down and do it. And then like, I think there's a like, I don't know. There's something cool about that, you know?
Yeah. One of my favorite things about game jams is, well, working in a team, I guess I should say.
Aww.
Is that like, no, sorry. I didn't mean it's one of my favorite things.
I didn't mean that. No, not you. Fuck you, Tim. Go ahead.
What I meant is when you're working in a team, one of my favorite things is that your vision for the game is not going to be what it ends up being. And that's usually the case anyway, until you get to a certain point and your vision finally starts matching up with your with the actual game. But for most people, you know, your vision for the game is not going to match up. But when you're in a team, it's not even close. And that's what I think is really interesting, is that because your vision is different than mine, and so in the end, it's just like this cool melding in between the two of them, and you just end up with something really unique that even you didn't expect to happen. You know, so that's, especially as an artist, like, because I have no control over what the physics feels like and like, you know, how the art goes in the game and stuff and how you use it, other than me just screaming at you through Twitch chat. So it's really cool seeing it in the game at the end and just seeing how you put your spin on my art and my ideas. So it's cool. It's fun. Yeah,
you heard it here, folks. Me programming is just me putting a spin on Kendra's art and ideas.
My ideas.
There's something awesome about that, though.
Ideas.
I agree with you, though. Like we both. So you say an idea. To me, in my brain, that means something different than it means to you in your brain, right?
Definitely.
So then we end up with two separate concepts of what this thing is, and over the course of a weekend, we kind of have to go back and forth, and we're forced to communicate, and we're forced to explain, and we're forced to show, and, you know, do all this different stuff, and to kind of get pieces of both of our ideas, and then we end up with just something that, like, is cool. You're right. Neither one of us would have come up with this on our own.
Yeah, I think that's something really special about game jams, you know. And even if you're working alone, like, you still do that same thing, because it's usually never an idea you'd ever do in like a full project. Like if you had a week to sit down and think about a project you want to make, it would never be a game you make in a game jam, right? Because that game jam has so many constraints that it just kind of turns into something completely different in the end, no matter what your idea was. So it's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I kind of miss that in solo dev though, because like you get so wrapped up in your own head sometimes, and that clarity is so important, just to, like, you don't know what the right path or what the right answer is anymore, and you can kind of just go down these rabbit holes without a timeline like game jams give you, without constraints like game jams give you, and without like teammates and stuff. Like those three things together especially add a ton, but like when you're alone with no teammates, with no time limit, with no constraints, you can go down some major rabbit holes, man.
Yeah. Yep.
I've been there. You've been there too.
Yeah, I was there today. I was optimizing things that didn't need to be optimized when I should have been working on something different, because there was no one there to tell me not to, you know? So
What were you optimizing things on?
Oh, my game is it's having some issues right now. But I was optimizing
Swords and Magic and stuff.
Yeah.
First of all, let's say the names so people know what we're talking about.
Yeah, so my game Swords and Magic and stuff. It's getting to a point where I have to start optimizing, which is awesome because that means it's getting to a point where people can start playing it and giving me better feedback on things. So
that's sweet, dude. So this is where we ended up publishing, and I'm just playing a bunch of stuff. But I want to talk about Swords and Magic and stuff for a second. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is and kind of what your vision of it and where you're going with it is?
Sure. Yeah. So it's a cute, casual, open world RPG. It's basically my idea from the start was like, yeah, I wanted to make a game similar to Skyrim or like a single player World of Warcraft or something, but with cute graphics that one person could actually make within their lifetime. And so that's kind of the concept. I've been developing it for 2 years now, though I started over about a year ago because I didn't know what I was doing. I had to scrap the whole project. And so I've been working on about a year, this build, and I'm going to release it in early access, hopefully in the next 6 months or so, but I don't have a date yet. And I just started doing devlogs on it actually, which I'm a little late to the game, but I thought, you know what, I should probably do some sort of marketing campaign, and I thought devlogs would be cool because then people can see what I'm working on, and I can do progress updates, and that'll be fun. So I just started releasing those. I think I've got 3 out now, and I'm working on the 4th one, and yeah.
The game is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Every time I look at it, I'm just like, oh my god, how does it look that great?
The more I look at it, the more I think, wow, what have I done? This is not what the game's supposed to look like.
Spoken like a true artist.
Yeah.
I think we all think that about our creations.
Yeah, we do.
So if people are looking to find out a little bit more about you or Swords and Magic and stuff, where can they go?
I just got a new website up, actually. It's called playswordsandmagic.com. You can also head over to my YouTube or my Twitch stream, and I stream 2 days a week there. So it's actually hard to catch me. It's Fridays and Saturday night at 10 p.m. PST. So it's actually pretty difficult to catch a stream, but I do post the VODs on YouTube afterward.
Sweet. I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to check out his channel and stuff. Mike, dude, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for doing the game jam with me. It was fun, dude. No problem. Thanks for letting me hijack your idea and jump in last minute. Well, it was more like me hijacking your idea and then demanding art from you. Let's be real.
Fair enough.
I was just like, okay.
Fair enough.
But all right, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Everybody go check out his channel right down below. We'll have more stuff. He's got a new devlog out probably today, if not soon-ish. Check it out.
It should be out by the time this launches.
Awesome. Game looks beautiful.
Thank you.
All right, dude. We'll be in touch.
All right. See ya.
See ya.